Okay. And that is all that I have for the introduction to California Youth versus Big Oil. So if there are not any more questions, I will pass it off to the next member of the coordination team. Oh, and do we have a hand?
Yes, sir. I just had a quick question about the role. So, like, would that involve like constructing like new infrastructure further away from the school? 'Cause I mean, I assume that's not the goal of it, but I was just wondering like how that works in terms of trying to make the fossil fuel sites farther away from like community spaces.
Yeah, so ideally, we obviously do not want the construction of more fossil fuel production sites. We think that that's completely harmful, and that is why we want them to drop all existing fossil fuel production. And then we want them to eventually just eliminate all new fossil fuel production as well. So the point of rolling out the setbacks would be that any facilities that are currently less than 3,200 feet away from community spaces would no longer be allowed to operate. And then that would be the first step to achieving all of these goals and to a full phase out of fossil fuels.
So I think your audio cut out for me. I don't know if that's for anyone else.
Oh yeah, okay. What was the last thing that you heard me say?
I think it's cool. You can move on. I don't want to take up time. I think you mostly finished what you were saying. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Cool. Are there any other questions? Okay, got it. So, oh, what is that? Oh, a protest from SFO or Oakland. I'm actually not quite sure. I think that this was definitely not a Sacramento protest. Would anybody who was at that protest like to elaborate?
I believe that was the Sacramento action on October, I think it was 22nd. So that took place in Sacramento, and we went up to the Capitol.
Okay, very cool. Well, then in that case, I was actually at that one. So I think that that is all, and I will pass it to the next member of the coordination team.
Hi everyone, my name is Molly. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm calling in from Ventura County on Chumash land. Today we're going to be discussing tackling climate anxiety and inaction stemming from said anxiety. In this current age, it can be easy to be overwhelmed with the constant stream of negative climate news and disasters. As California youth, we all have experienced the climate crisis firsthand, from our wildfire season to the persistent drought. It's normal to feel scared and helpless during a time like this, but it's important to channel that anxiety into hope. These two quotes are from The Intersectional Environmentalist, a book by Leah Thomas, an uprising environmental leader. The first one is from Sophia Lee. She discusses how climate optimism is important to building an equitable future and how fear is not sustainable long-term for true global liberation, and love and abundance is. It's important to build communities like California Youth versus Big Oil, spend time in nature, and become involved in your community. The next one is from Teresa Baker. She speaks about how to stay motivated in the climate field. It can be really easy to let this climate anxiety paralyze you, but it's important to keep going for the future generations. She says, raise your voices and keep raising them until power structures begin to listen and adhere to your messages. Silent demands can never be heard. Demand out loud. Do not accept no as the final answer. You can follow both of these women on Instagram at their handles linked below. And we will now be moving into the breakout rooms for you to express your own experiences with climate anxiety.
Hi everyone, this is Theo, he, him pronouns, calling in from Oakland on Ohlone land. I'm going to be breaking us up into breakout rooms now with rooms of 7 or 8 people. And there will be someone from the coordination team for each group who is going to help lead us through a conversation about what gives us hope and how we find it in these really challenging times. So I'm going to break us into groups now, and hopefully you get a lot out of this session.
Ohio